Smells like fart back here. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Dudes Watch Movie Podcast. I am me, and he is he, and you are we, and we are all together. That's the Beatles, Tom.
Wow.
Yes. We are, as you can see, real moody in here because we watched The Crow. Which, underneath our new podcast guidelines, not rules, guidelines.
Yes, because rules are meant to be broken.
Yes.
Guidelines are suggestions.
Yes. The loose connection between Heat and The Crow is that they're both mid to early 90s movies with a lot of action and mustaches.
Keep pulling things from your ass, my friend, because you came up with that on the fly. Like a crow.
Like
Who
a
flies?
Crow. What about the part where it rains all the time in this movie, and I don't think there was a single scene in Heat with rain. So opposites. Mullets are a thing in both. People get murdered in both, and there's cops with mustaches. Although I guess it's more of a facial hair than a mustache specifically. Anyways, this is one of my favorite movies of all time, even though as I have gotten older, I realize it may not be the best movie ever, like I thought in middle school. But it's still super good.
Middle school? Didn't you think that in high school too?
No, in high school I was...
It's okay, you don't have to sugarcoat it. You can...
No, in high school I was the typical edgelord high schooler who's like, Boondock thinks it's such a good movie.
Ooh, there's a few of you out there, you know who you are.
Brian! with your 1911 grips.
It takes so long for you to find that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think? Go give us the plot synopsis.
We'll go for that plot synopsis. The Crow, made in 1994, directed by James... Oh, no, that's the writer. The writer, James O'Barr, directed by Alex Proyas. Sorry. But James O'Barr is a comic book series and a comic book strip, so he wrote both of those.
Yep. The actual screenplay was by David J. Shaw.
Popular. Look at that popularity drop.
Well, you know, come Halloween, it'll start going right back up.
True. With a Metascore of 71, not that ever matters now that I figured out. All right, yeah. Plot, folks. Let's get to that plot. A poetic guitarist, Eric Draven, the most edgiest name I've ever heard, is brought back to life by a crow. A year after he and his fiancée are murdered. The crow guides him through the land of the living and leads him to his killers, knife thrower Tintin, drug addict? That's weird.
It's probably supposed to say drug addict.
Yeah. This is what I get for copy and pasting.
Yeah.
Drug addict, fun boy, car buff T-Bird, and the unsophisticated skank. One by one, Eric gives these thugs a taste of their own medicine. However, their leader, Top Dollar, a world-class crime lord who will dispatch his enemies with a Japanese sword and joke about it later, will soon learn the legend of the Crow and the secret to the vigilante's invincibility. Which I did not know that was his source of his invincibility was a crow. I thought it was one of those, you have a task of murdering those who murdered you, and once you're done with that, then you go back to being dead.
They make a whole big deal about it, about how his weird sister lover is like, the crow is the source of his power. If we can capture the crow, we can harness it. And then they shoot it, and then he's like, caw, bang, fuck, I'm dead. The whole reason they shoot the crow. And then afterwards he starts taking bullets, and he's like, oh no, I can die. Again. Dang.
Anyway, so this cast, Brandon Ripley. I say Rip because rest in peace, that man died a tragic death upon this movie. During the shooting of this movie.
One of the, probably the most famous on, like, I don't want to say on screen, because I'm sure they didn't actually show the actual bit when he got shot, but on set death. There's a couple of really famous ones. There's one involving Michael Landis, I believe, I can't remember. It was some movie in the 80s, and there was a helicopter that crashed, and there were like 2 child actors on board.
Oh.
So that was a big deal.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, like, stunt people, obviously. But this was the main actor of the movie dying during shooting.
Yikes. Tragic.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he was Eric Draven, the Crow, as if you didn't figure that out already. Michael Kaka Bank Fuck I'm Dead Winscott as Top Dollar. Ernie I'm Gonna Bust Me Some Ghosts Hudson as Sergeant Albrecht. Rochelle I Sleep With Vinyls Davis as Sarah. Bye I Have No Fashion Sense Ling as Micah. David Fused to His Car Patrick Kelly as T-Bird. Angel Stupid Ass Hair David as Skank. John Shit On Me Polito as Gideon. Tony I Wish I Was as Bad as the Kingpin Todd as Granger. Sophia Died Right Away Shinas as Shelley Webster. Michael I Probably Smell of Stale Cigarettes Fassy as Funboy. Lawrence The Fuck You All Painted Up For Crackhead Halloween Ain't Till Manana Manson as Tintin. Anna I Used to Do Drugs I Still Do But I Used to Levine as Darla.
Oh, man.
I have fun with that.
Yeah, yeah, Tintin's was the best.
Yeah, that's one of his lines.
Let's see. Do you know these folks from any other movies other than, obviously, Ernie Hudson as a Ghostbuster?
Other than Ernie Hudson, honestly, no. For some odd reason, though, Tony Todd is... I want to say something from The Highlander. But that's probably only because he has super long hair and wields a sword in this film.
Tony Todd does not have super long hair or wield a sword in this. Tony Todd is his right-hand man, the black guy with like the circular glasses.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking of Michael Wincott, sorry. Yeah, no, Tony. Yeah, definitely.
Tony Todd is the Candyman.
Yeah, that's the Candyman.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Michael Massey was in Supernatural when we were watching it. He was the one that had the really like pitted face and all that, and was trying to hunt down Dean.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Everyone's
trying to hunt down Dean. Let's be real.
That's true. The rest of them, I'm not.
Not the top.
Eric Draven, and I cannot remember for the life of me what it was, but there was another character that was supposed to have that name in a different movie, and they went another route, and that was like a pretty popular movie, and it's just escaped from me. I tried to find it when we were watching it. I couldn't pull it back up.
No idea.
But the movie starts out, and it's like they set the tone real quick about the feel of the movie when they're flying over Detroit as it's all like burning at night, and
really terrible CGI color like effects there.
I really like it though.
It probably looked great on shitty TVs, but in an HD
I
TV
still
setting,
like it. Like it looks bad enough to the point where it almost seems stylized at this, and like it helps set in my mind the idea that they're in Detroit, but it's not real Detroit. It's like a alternate version of Detroit where everything's way more comic book. Something about how just bad that CG looks.
I want to say there's a real Gotham feel to it with less skyscrapers, just because it's always fucking dark and rainy.
Yep.
Can't rain all the time.
Pretty soon off the bat, they introduce us into my boy Ernie Hudson, who plays our beat cop who ends up getting called to the murders of Shelley and Eric, and then we also meet whatever the fuck her name is, the little girl. Sarah, yes. I'm not a big fan of her.
I did have her name as Rochelle. I like to skateboard in the rain.
Oh my god, it's just gonna ruin your bearing, kid.
I just cringe every time. For those that don't know, who don't skateboard, well, bearings and water don't go along together. Nor does wood and water in general. No. That's how you split your board, folks.
Correct. The whole premise of the movie is surrounding Devil's Night, which is the night before Halloween, and Tintin and his gang and T-Bird and all those guys, basically they just get sent around to like set shit on fire. For some reason they're also told to, well, I guess not for some reason, there is a reason, they're rebelling against like the eviction notice, and so they get sent there to send a message, and it just also happens to be while they're out burning things up, and
fuck with the wrong guy.
Yes, they did. And then so 1 year later, same day, he comes back. That's actually was a real thing in Detroit. People just burning buildings on Devil's Night. I found out.
Was it like in an effort to get insurance money or what?
No, I think it's just because Detroit's a shithole. Like,
what do you do with trash? You burn it.
Well, like, I mean, there's just so many like vacant buildings and projects around that people were just like burning. They do it in 8 Mile too. They just burn that house down because they caught someone like bringing kids there and raping them and stuff like that. And they're like, fuck it, we're burning this house down, so they can't do that anymore. It's kind of strange how that city's gone from being one of like the meccas of the United States to just
the automotive industry was the only thing that held it together, and then ever since then it's been sourced out. So
yeah, it's
what's
crazy.
The point?
It's insane.
It's like those mining towns that just die when mining no longer exists there because it's tapped out.
Other thing that they set real early in this movie is like their lighting scheme.
I just said the main color for this film is dark.
That's pretty
it's
accurate.
The color dark.
I like that movies used to not be afraid to be dark though. Like, it's another thing that just helps kind of give it the feel of what the comics look like. Very, very harsh shadows.
Would you say it's a modernized version of film noir?
Yes. Yeah, I would say the same lighting tactics. I was going to get all artsy fartsy and say chiaroscuro. I think that means light dark. Thanks, Mr. Dennis. But I don't know. I wish movies would go back to doing that, not being afraid to do that. Because every time now it's a nighttime scene, it's just let's color correct it to be blue so people know that it's a night scene, but we can still see everything.
Technically, there is always the blue hour. Like shortly after sunset, there is all the blue. So, but I mean, I guess if you're talking like midnight scenes, they are that really navy blue.
Yep. I think horror movies are really, really fucking bad about that. That would be the ideal time to have really harsh shadows all over the place, but they're like, no, we want it to be just kind of visible, so like it seems like they're walking around with no lights. The best way to make me think someone's walking around with no lights,
you don't see shit.
Turn off the fucking lights.
My favorite thing is in movies like when they get it all lighter and they light it and suddenly the whole room just lights up. I'm like, you don't know how a lighter works.
Yeah. And I mean, they always do it right here too. Try it up here. If you do it right here, you're just going to be like, okay, now I real can't see. What else do they do that's a product of its time?
Well, I mean, it's not a product of the time, but it's the most goth as they get married on Halloween.
That's true. Although I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people do that.
I mean, maybe to keep things simple, but for fun.
I feel that honestly, I don't like weddings. But a Halloween, like costume wedding, I'd be more on board for. Like, it would be just how weird it would be. Otherwise, I'm just like, I don't see the purpose of the ceremony.
Not to shit on this movie, but why did they have the freeze frame?
Both of them? I don't know.
All three of them.
There was a third? Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
There was a third one. Let's see. There's the ending of the first scene.
Is that supposed to be like closing a chapter and going to another one?
Sure, we'll say that. That sounds better than whatever I was going to make up. What's the next one? Is he falls into the grave or something?
I don't remember, but I just remember seeing it and being like, this is terrible. Like
it was strange.
It just didn't fit. It's like with some movies when they do slow-mo, sometimes it works, and then sometimes it's like too choppy and it just doesn't fit for what's happening. Granted, this movie doesn't touch too much on slow-mo, but it's got the freeze frames.
It did seem like there was a couple of select shots that were, like I said, they didn't quite
I want to say
fit.
when he met up with Sarah at one point, there was like a weird little hug pause and then it faded out. Or like they were both in the same shot.
I can't remember.
I'll figure it out at some point.
It's just, it seemed like there was a couple shots that they were just trying to do something a little bit different that ended up just kind of sticking out more than it should. It did also have a super 90s soundtrack, which I appreciate.
Yeah, I had a thing in here for that. How every single song on there, they have the lyrics blaring. You don't hear that in soundtracks anymore, but like they have the heavy rock music in there. Yeah, this film has quite the soundtrack. You know, back when they used lyrics in the soundtrack to emphasize the scene, instead of having the scene do it, we're having the music and its lyrics be the to the film.
Let's see. There's some 9 Inch Nails in there. There's some Stone Temple Pilots in there. I think The Cure is in there somewhere. Like,
oh, for sure.
It's pretty 90s, and I super dig it. The best part though is when he's on the rooftop and he's playing his own music because he's so angry and angsty.
He's playing an electric guitar in the rain on a rooftop.
What's gonna happen? Is he gonna die?
He's just gonna short out his guitar, and then he's just gonna be playing ring, 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 ring. He's not going to have an amplifier.
Maybe it's all in his head. And there are a lot of like rooftop scenes.
Is there any crazy theories about this movie, by the way? Other than the obvious like death scene, but I mean like what this movie is actually pointing to, or it's not that?
Not really.
No, okay. Does it mean like The Shining and the whole like moon landing shit like that?
No.
Not that insane.
The only thing I can think of is I'm pretty sure at some point I read that there's a theory that they purposely killed him. Just like they might have purposely killed Bruce Lee, and it's all a triads thing or whatever. But
oh yeah,
I don't know. No.
I did put in here with all this rain. You think this whole film was in London? But it's not. It's more
Seattle.
Okay, that's true.
Like
everyone looks up over
the grunginess
Seattle.
and stuff. Yeah,
we didn't have enough coffee.
And the nature of club trash. Which they do set up earlier in the film. The only reason, without the giant like banner above it, the only reason that I knew it was club trash is when he pulls out his box that has his old, like, what he's wearing for the whole time, which is his stage get up, I would assume. He's got little flyers in there from Club Trash when they used to play there.
Club Trash, where there is always a man standing above you welding something to cause sparks to shower over every single band.
As a kid, I always thought it would be so cool to go to a party in like an industrial like rock place like that. For some reason they had it in this, and they've got it in Airheads, and they've got it in Kazam. In the 90s it was like, yeah, let's just go to an empty like warehouse and fucking rock
party.
Out. Yeah. And
bet you the acoustics in there were terrible.
Oh my god, it'd be so loud. Just reverberating everywhere. It looks so cool.
It does. I will tell you the thing this film loves right away: breaking glass, throwing people out of windows, and sparks. I can't tell you how many people were thrown out of windows in this film, especially towards the end. There was a good 5 within like a 10-minute span, and then right from the get-go, Draven gets fucking thrown out of a window, and all the sparks.
Well, you know, they didn't have all the cool CGI explosions, and I assume making sparks is cheaper than doing actual explosions.
I mean, they made CGI flames on the buildings.
Oh, you know, they used all their budget on that.
That was their last bit.
What else? Like, I mean, this is a movie that we had both seen. Obviously, like I've seen this more than you have. Was there anything watching it? Is it your second time now?
This probably may be my 3rd time watching it all the way through.
You notice anything different about it, or anything else like stand out from the other times?
Honestly, I didn't realize that Top Dollar and What's Her Face were like more of the occult type stuff, like eating people and all that shit. I mean, it's not too important to the setting or the scene.
Right.
Like, it's just to make them more weird.
And they nailed that with the incest bit, honestly. They didn't have to do the occult part.
Right. I mean, they could have just simply been like kingpin like figures, like people with power. It was like fuck everything, but being all nihilistic about it. But no, they had to go ahead and like butcher up bodies and eat eyeballs and throw salts on stuff and sniff them.
And
not necessary.
I do kind of find Top Dollar entertaining, and just how little time he has for some stuff. Like, oh goddamn, just die already.
Right. And yet he's sitting there by the bowl with his lady, watching her just do stuff like, okay, I've got time for this.
I do feel like technically he is the big bad guy of the movie, but I kind of feel like after he kills the initial 4, that I like it just,
he loses his,
like the purpose is kind of gone. It kind of seems to drag, and the only reason he has to hang around is because Top Dollar ends up grabbing Sarah. But I don't know, I feel like they could have ended it after he finally kills Skank in there. You know, one Skank dead.
I'm surprised he lasted as long as he did.
You would think he'd be the first to go.
Right.
Like, he's not a smart man.
Not at all.
And I do like, and they mentioned it in your little your synopsis, for the most part, when he's killing the members of the gang, he's doing it with their ego or like their prized possession. So Tintin is a big fan with his knives, and he ends up stabbing him in every organ in alphabetical order.
Yeah.
Which might be some hyperbole. bare minimum exaggeration. What are the other? I always forget the rest of their names. Fun Boy is a drug addict. He ends up overdosing him, if I remember right.
I think so.
Or no, he stabs him with the syringe a bunch. And then he's got
T-Bird that he blows up in his own car.
Correct. Skank is the only one that like doesn't really fit that mold. He doesn't really have anything defining about him other than he is like really hard to understand because he talks so fast and he's got like a really weird accent. And then Top Dollar, he's always like, he's got his swords all over the place and he ends up sword fighting him, I guess. But I did like kind of how poetic was the way he dispatches the gang members.
It's kind of like how that game, what is it? The video game, Condemned.
Oh yeah,
the serial killer killing serial killers.
Is he a good guy or is he a bad guy? I do not know.
I started listing Draven's superpowers on here. And first power was healing. Second power was using crows to see everything. Third, parkour. Yeah, because he's in fucking combat boots doing parkour.
Do you want to hear my theory? He is from the lineage of the assassins. From Assassin's Creed.
That's right, because he does that fucking fall.
So he does the parkour very well. Assassins can also have eagle vision. In this case, he's like their weird, the black sheep of the family. So he's got crow vision instead. And then, like you said, he literally does the dive off the edge of the building into a pile of trash instead of hay because, he's the gothy version. And when he does that, you hear a crow caw instead of an eagle screech. I think he's an assassin.
He's one of the worst ones.
I don't know about that. I mean, the rest of them are all really boring.
Come on.
Name one not boring assassin.
From Assassin's Creed?
Yep.
Oh. I'd say the one...
Use the name of one.
Man, I haven't finished the game, so I couldn't tell you, but the dude from Syndicate, I want to say it's Jack, but probably not.
I have no idea what his name is. I don't know what her name is either. It's your auditore.
It's the only one that everyone ever talks about. He was the first.
No, he wasn't. Altier was the first. Oh, you fake gamer girl.
Honestly, I played like 10 minutes of that one. We are absolutely getting soundtrack. Also, so in the beginning of the film, when it has all the thugs hanging out the bar, drinking.
Yep.
I don't understand the concept of swallowing bullets with each shot.
Yeah.
That seems like a really shitty thing to do.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't the tips of a lot of bullets lead-based?
No. Lead, depends on how the bullet is. If it's a full metal jacket, it's basically covered, and inside that jacket essentially is the bullet's lead. So once it hits, that's what causes it to split.
Right.
Yeah.
But the actual bullet on most bullets is lead-based, though, right?
On the inside, yes.
Yeah.
But it's usually covered. But I'm assuming there's probably a lot of lead dust anyway.
Because I feel like if your stomach
maybe that's why they're so stupid.
That's what I'm getting at. Especially Skank. He's probably swallowed a lot of bullets.
Yeah. He's not a very smart man.
He tries to be.
Was he the one that they called, like he was one of the new guys and pussies drink last or some shit they said?
Yeah, he was the one that was going to go last, yeah. And then he's the one, I mean, his moment of brilliance is he's like, I'm not Skank, that's Skank. Skank dead.
That's where you're right.
Oh my god. And there's a lot of edgy quotes in this too. Like he quotes the raven, obviously, because he's confused about the difference between a raven and a crow. And he says, tell them they're already dead. They just don't know it. And it can't rain all the time. And Eric Draven sends his regards. There's a, what is it? Oh, Nothing is Trivial is another one. I was just like, these are the ones that when I was in middle school, I was like, man, he's so deep. But now that I'm 26 years old, I'm like, God, you're kind of an edgelord. You're just a little mopey guy.
There's that one Albrecht. Police, don't move. I said don't move. Eric, I thought the police always said freeze. Well, I am the police, and I say don't move. Snow White, you move, you're dead. And I say I'm dead, and I move.
I like that. See, that was a good one. That was good.
It was a good exchange.
I also like at the end when after they have the big fight and the cops come in, they're like freeze, and he does this, and then he does a little like Looney Tunes hop away.
Jumps to the side.
Even if he's dead and his wife is murdered, he's got a little sense of humor left.
There it is. Suddenly hear a tapping as if someone gently rapping at my chamber door. What are you talking about? You guys hear me rapping, right?
I couldn't decide if I loved or hate Skank.
Yeah.
Since he's still fresh on the brain. There's some stuff that he says that's hilarious, but he's also like super frustrating and his teeth gross me out. Yeah. What else I got? Like the imagery, we were touching on that. Since we're talking about him doing the Edgar Allan Poe bit, that's when he goes into the pawn shop and we meet Gideon with easily the line of the movie. Hit him with it.
Shit on me!
And he says it multiple times. It's his catchphrase, and I love him for it.
I put in there, looks like we just found his new fetish. It's into that scat play.
That entire scene I really like, though. Just like, it's funny and serious and kind of scary, because that's one of the few times where he's like, hey, I'm just gonna play the monster. He also does that against I'm having the hardest time with their names now. Fun Boy.
It's like to be me all the time.
Yeah. when he's fighting Fun Boy and he's just kind of like walking through the bullets and all that. Or at the end when the strobes are going. It's like sometimes you forget he kind of can be creepy.
A little bit. That's one thing too, during that fight scene on top of the table, after everyone's dispatched, he's just kind of walking across the table. What's causing these strobes?
The fact that they're in an industrial rave party.
But I mean, they're up in the upper office where at that time, before it all happened, everything was just lit up.
Add that to his list of powers.
He causes strobes.
Can do strobe effect. And Detroit doesn't seem like it's changed a whole lot between 1994 and 2018 now that I'm thinking about it. Just had that in there. Thought I'd put that in. And the safest place to be is a graveyard, because everyone's already dead.
Say at the top?
No. I'm honestly just going through my things because I didn't write a whole lot of notes down. I've seen this movie too many times.
Fair enough. Oh, back up on that pawn shop. I did put in there, why is there old jars of gas in this shop? Because he sets the shop on fire and he's like taking jars of gas that are in that shop and dumping them in the shop.
I can only assume that he has gone and grabbed those and then taken them in there.
They were pre-existing because he busts in there.
Right.
And then he grabs them off the shelf that was in there.
I don't think you ever see him grabbing it off the shelf. Same with because he's got like the giant barrel as well. So I would assume that he has like, it's cutting between him.
Well, it does a terrible job because I thought he was grabbing that gas from inside the pawn shop, and I'm confused as to why. What's his face? Gideon has fuel in his pawn shop.
He doesn't. I think he goes and grabs it from outside.
The cut wasn't there though.
It is there, and he moves very quick.
I guess.
I think we've established that you're not very good at following stuff sometimes because you're going from this screen to this screen and then back up to that screen. You miss stuff.
I do a little bit better on the laptop. Put it that way, because I can type without looking at my fingers. Whereas touch screen, you ain't got no context-sensitive buttons.
Oh, what is happening to this show?
I miss the age of keyboards. Anyway. And when I mean keyboards, it's keyboards on phones, not general keyboards. So, yeah, I don't got a whole lot else on there. I mean, I suppose one other complaint. This, along with many, many, many other movies, having gunfights on the inside, no one goes deaf after blasting as many rounds as they do.
That'll never be a thing, though.
Eric Draven's revolver shoots many, many, many rounds before he decides to throw it. Count those ones up. That's about all I have.
Yeah, I've gone through my notes, honestly. Yeah. It's one of those movies that it's hard to really talk a lot about because it's hard to describe, honestly. I don't understand why it's so tricky to pinpoint certain things. I think it does a really good job of going from place to place to place to place to place, and it all kind of goes quickly. Like, it's a pretty short movie, honestly.
Yeah.
In comparison to some of the stuff
we've
we've
been watching
watched.
too.
Yeah.
I will say that the ending was a bit anticlimactic for me in the sense of how he goes about killing him. I mean, a good way to do it, but he ends up getting stabbed and then 30 hours of pain all at once, and then that just happens to drive him mad for him to fall.
So it's not driving him mad. He's literally feeling like the pain.
That's what I said, all at once. It, like, in there somewhere along, like what I was reading, it said that it drove him mad to the point of jumping off the bridge, which I was like, I don't know. No,
it's just he physically, like, his body feels that pain. Or I guess technically his brain is feeling the pain, making him think his body's experiencing it. And then he does the old Saruman drop on the spike.
Impaled through the abdomen and the mouth. How convenient.
And then we get another real gothic thing with gargoyles, like, dropping out the bloody water. Yeah.
Yep.
This movie...
inspired Batman?
Well, I was gonna say it definitely belongs in that time frame with all the Tim Burton style and things going on.
For sure.
Early 90s, they loved their goth, and I don't blame them.
I would like to see a Tim Burton take on the Crow.
Nope.
I mean,
nope.
Children-esque parts of it aside, and maybe the super oddity, but I would like to see the darkness of it.
Have you watched anything from Tim Burton in the last, 15 years?
Particularly no, because I'm not the hugest fan of Johnny Depp playing all the roles he had been playing.
It's not good. You got Alice in Wonderland. You got the remake of, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. There's just nothing good in 15 years now.
That's what I'm saying, though. If in the 90s Tim Burton would have made it.
Oh, I thought you were talking about wanted to do it now.
No, not current one. No, 90s Tim Burton that time, instead of having I can't remember his name, and I'll look it up really quick.
I feel like it would have been it still would have been decently campy though.
Yeah, instead of Alex Proyas,
and it would be Johnny Depp playing the role.
I mean, it would have been perfect though, because it's just his dark, morbid setting.
The setting maybe, but I feel like the tone would be way wrong. Like, it would be a weird, campy romantic movie.
I suppose he does do a lot of romance in there, but
I
mean, this is kind of a romance. There's a tragedy that happened. This dude lost his fiancée Halloween. Halloween's his fucking wedding night of all times.
I don't think I've ever seen a Tim Burton movie where it was serious enough for The Crow.
Batman?
Not serious whatsoever. Holy shit. I mean, they thought in 1989
but I'm just saying,
but
he did a really good comic book style Batman.
It's not serious enough though. Even Batman, they still have the comic relief character, and then they're doing like the weird gags with the penguins with the rockets on them and shit.
Are you telling me Gideon isn't a comic relief character?
No, he's not. He's just a funny guy.
Skank's not a comic relief character?
Skank, I can't decide if I hate him or love him. I was going to say he's annoying, but he's also kind of funny. I don't know. I don't think Tim Burton has the proper tone for this movie. He can absolutely, if he was the visual designer of it, would nail it, but I don't think he can make a movie with the gravitas that's needed for it.
That was my word 2 months ago.
Yeah. I don't know. It's honestly, I don't think anyone else can make this movie, because I've seen other people try to make this movie.
That's true. That did come out. How many other ones? 2?
I think
3?
there's 3 other ones now.
Ugh.
And they're all bad. And currently they've been trying to do a reboot with Jason Momoa starring as the Crow, and I think that's fallen through now, which I'm not heartbroken at, because I don't know. I know it's become the catchphrase of our show, but it's a movie for its time, and I don't know if it would work in 2018.
Probably not. I mean, you'd be surprised, but at the same time, probably not. I mean, shout out to Movies with Mikey, but he just dropped the whole... If you notice, there's a lot of sequels that are happening of movies that parents used to watch, like Starsky and Hutch came back, and then there was Tron that came back, and then Jumanji came back, where... Maybe Crow's going to have its time some point where it might come. I mean, it wasn't a blockbuster enough to maybe even have the opportunity to come back, but...
The problem is, though, with a lot of those movies is they're not good.
No, they weren't all that great.
And that's what I would be afraid of with The Crow. I can absolutely see them doing a reboot. They want to do a reboot, but I don't think it'll work. I don't think it'll be good.
You think it'll be saturated by trying to be a big blockbuster, and it wouldn't be
something like that,
context?
or they're
filled.
They're gonna try and, I don't know. It's a hard job to try and make a reboot of something, because you're stuck in this weird dilemma of either you can't be too close to the original, or else you end up like the remake of Psycho, where it's like shot for shot, and then everyone hates it because they're like, why are we watching the same movie again just with different people? But then you can also get to the issue where it's nothing like the original, and then you're just using The Crow because it's a name people recognize, and it's really hard to toe that balance. Probably the best one to do was Fury Road. Like, technically, if you think about it, it's kind of a Mad Max reboot. Doesn't seem to really be directly connected, without doing some like deep diving and stuff to make those connections.
I mean, Blade Runner was kind of that way, but kind of not. It was loosely tied together.
Yeah,
I love that movie. It's too bad that movie did such a flop.
I know a lot of people were mad about episode 7, about how they're like, oh man, it's just they did a New Hope all over again. But I think that set a really good blueprint for how to do basically what's called a soft reboot, where it's set in the same universe, but you're bringing it to a new generation, so you can keep a lot of those callbacks to appease the people that saw the original, but you can change enough to tie it into like a 2018 audience.
They're giving the old fans something to call back on and nostalgia fanboy about, and then they're also setting up a new setting to erase all that and kind of clear the slate for something new. Yeah, I agree.
I just worry that the Crow fan base
this is just from an outside perspective, but I don't see this Crow fan base being all that large.
Did you not watch South Park?
No.
Every year there's some douchebag who wants to dress up like the Crow and try and get pussy because it's cool.
Did you ever dress up as a Crow, Kirk?
No. I've definitely painted my face like that, but I didn't full on dress up like the Crow.
Oh, jeez.
But so no fan base is worse than Star Wars right now. So maybe it won't be so bad. But movies like The Crow or cult classics, like, they have pretty diehard fan bases, and I don't know. I don't want to have to get on the internet and start hating the people that like things that I like. I'm tired of that.
Yeah, no.
Ugh.
Same. And maybe that's just a thing of getting older, though.
Maybe. So what was your what the fuck moment?
Well, honestly, it was, I guess, until you cleared up the whole finding fuel in that dude's pawn shop. The guy's just ultimately confused. Is he smuggling fuel and selling it on the side? I mean, he is a cheapskate. Why not?
He is a cheapskate.
But that was my what the fuck moment.
Mine is and always will be and was incest. Because like one of the first times you see Top Dollar, they got that dead naked chick, and then the Asian girl, and I was like, oh, 3-way, nice. But then later he's like, yeah, you remember when Dad used to tell us? And I was like, what? Reverse that. Nice. Reverse that. Hold on. And also, her face is so fucked up with that makeup sometimes.
Oh god, she can't draw lipstick for. She's just like, here are my lips, up my nose, down the middle.
What was your favorite scene?
My favorite scene. Just tying back to the pawn shop guy, because I really enjoy his shit on me moment.
I also had the pawn shop as my favorite scene. There's so many, like, obviously the shit on me is funny, but I also like when he...
digging for the rings?
That's good.
Because he's just throwing them to the side and fuck it. And then he finds it with his eyes closed.
Well, he feels it.
I know, but still, I'm just like, okay.
I think they did a really good job blending, like, kind of funny with sad and action. I also like when he first, like, barges in and the guy tries to swing at him and he's, like, flipped up on the ceiling and he, like, swings back down. And he's like, ooh, gotta be faster than that.
Yes.
And then he finishes with the cool, let's just blow it up with a ring or a shotgun full of rings. Why not? And who's your MVP?
My MVP, I'm gonna have to say Sergeant Pepper.
Ernie Hudson, goddamn, yeah, also my MVP.
He just plays the part so well, and just thinking that he was used. Did the Ghostbusters came out before that, right?
Oh yeah, it came out in the 80s.
So I'm thinking in my mind the whole time he's a retired Ghostbuster, no more ghost to bust. But here's Eric Draven, and so he gets to dabble once again back into the paranormal, but this time as a cop.
I just every thing I've ever seen him in, he just seems really likable. Like especially like a lot of superhero movies. for some reason the cops are always just like lazy shitbags. But
I mean, Batman doesn't give them that great of a run for their money.
Yeah.
They're all crooked, but that's Gotham.
True. And I mean, you always got Gordon who's on his side, but I feel like he does enough to not necessarily help Eric on his vengeance tour, or I guess it'd be a revenge tour, but he does enough to like help put his mind and his soul at rest. But eventually he does end up giving him the weapon he needs to defeat Top Dollar when he transfers his memories of staying with Eric's wife for the like 40 hours.
That just makes him a genuine guy. Like 30 hours standing next to this woman who is dying. Like he's dedicated to helping and serving, protecting and serving.
And you can tell that like some of those other cops there are those like cliched shitty cops.
The FBI guy.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't your crime scene.
Yeah. Remember why you got demoted back to being a desk jockey?
You get beat cop.
But I feel like he does seem like the most like genuinely likable, nice person in that movie.
Oh yeah.
And in most movies he's in. Any other thoughts? I know we kind of mentioned while we were watching it, but I think we did nail why I liked it so much as a kid. They're skateboarding, they're all wearing black, there's rock music, he paints his face, he gets his power from a crow just like the Undertaker gets his from an urn.
I will never understand your obsession with face painting.
It's a good question. It's got to be wrestling related.
I always just found it really weird, but then I guess maybe I always associate with clowns, whereas you associate with wrestling. So
it's got to be like a mixture of wrestling and Halloween. Because like when I was real little and you see like Sting and the Ultimate Warrior, these jacked up dudes with their faces painted, I'm like, yeah.
Those bands that you listen to with the painted faces. Not Kiss.
I used to listen to Kiss when I was younger too. And there's always like the tie back to I liked Pocahontas when they do the savages, and then they're like putting on the war face and all that. I don't know. There's a multitude of reasons why I think I like the face paint.
Interesting.
Also, I mean, it's kind of fun to scare people. So it's just whatever. We got the cops called on us when we were like 17 because we were walking around at 3 in the morning with our faces painted.
Didn't you go to Walmart?
No, we went to McDonald's and got kicked out because we had our faces painted for Spirit Night. Yeah.
But I mean, was it a Spirit Night type of setting, face paint, or was it just...
No, we just painted our faces and used it as an excuse. Anyways, that's been this episode of Dudes Watch a Movie. Do you have any loose connection you've got drumming up for the next one, or is it just going to be a mystery?
Not even a little bit. I haven't even given it a thought, but I'm sure we'll stew on something. I still want to refine these rules. It just seems too open-ended.
Guidelines.
Yes, excuse me.
If you make a rule, I'm just compelled to break it.
Yeah, true.
If you're
January, rip.
It was a Chinese movie. If anyone is still out there in the void, thank you, and we'll catch you next time.
Yeah, thanks for watching. By the way, the Facebook is going a little bit null, because I've been lazy as fuck. I'm also kind of busy with homework and stuff, but we might start posting little tidbits on there. I'm trying to bring up some discussions like, hey, what were good movies you watched last week? What are some recommendations? Throw us something that you may recommendate. Yeah. I'm just trying to expand my knowledge and ability to watch films. Foreign films was a fun one that I did when I took some film classes. It really broadened my horizons on what I watched, on top of all these scary movies you've been picking, these Korean films, which wouldn't be a terrible idea since Halloween is around the corner.
And they paint their faces.
It's true.
Corpse.
Anyway, stay tuned. I might post a few things on there. If not, thanks for watching. Have a good night.